I want to show you how you can use a piece of software called OBS to give you the background that you want to represent yourself in your virtual calls. Now, if you're like me, you have to do a lot of calls every single day. And the challenge I have here, living in Singapore, is that we live in very small apartments, and it doesn't really help us to have a spare room or a study which we have to ourselves, which we can use to take our calls and be who we actually are. In fact, here in my little room here, we are lucky enough to have a little shared work area, but it is shared. I have my work area, which you see here in front of me, and then behind I have the work area for my wife, and both of us are professionals. We work during the day, and she really does not like to be in the background of my calls. And you might say, hey Matt, but that's fine. There's automatic backgrounds and blurring and things like that. And yes, they work really, really well. But there's one thing I've seen happen a lot is as soon as she turns and faces my screen or towards my camera, the software actually picks her up as a face in the background and unblurs her face. And that's really not something she wants to go and do. So as someone who likes to look at using different technologies to solve the problem, I came across something called OBS Studio. And there's nothing new, nothing special, but it really helps you to be able to create a virtual background that gives you a way to, I guess, obfuscate all of the things that are going on. But it goes beyond that. Even create, I kind of say, like a scene. In fact, I think the terminology it uses is a scene. And using these scenes, you can create environments that you can exist in to create your own sort of persona. And I find that OBS itself is very much like PowerPoint for webcam. So if you think about a PowerPoint slide where you're able to layer different shapes and media onto a slide to have an impact and tell your story, well, OBS Studio will help you do the same sort of thing. You can actually layer things on. It's not just about having a virtual background, but you can actually position different inputs from your webcam, from an image, from a video, and really bring this together to create a scene that you can use as a virtual camera to plug into your Teams video or your Zoom video or any video software. It literally creates a virtual camera that's recognized by your PC. So let me show you how we actually go and make this happen. Now, as I said, we've got a small work environment. We work together. We're very lucky we actually have a work environment. I know a lot of people don't actually have their own desk. This is my desk. I take up a lot more space than my wife. And sure, I've got some pretty cool kit here. I've got a nice big monitor. I've actually hooked up a little Sony 4K action cam for my webcam. You don't need all this. You can actually just have a normal webcam, and what I'm going to show you works. And I've got a big boom microphone. I do a lot of talking, so I like to make sure I'm fairly clear. Now, as I said, one of the challenges is my wife is over here and I'm here. And so anyone that I talk to is going to see her in the background. So one of the things I actually invested in was one of these. It's a green screen. And what this is something you can actually attach to the back of your chair. And by doing that, I essentially create a green screen which not only blocks out my wife and her work environment, but I can also use it for video to superimpose background images and make it a little bit more engaging. So let me show you how we set that up. Okay, so let me just bring the microphone up. So this is the green screen here. This is my my chair. I've had for a long time. We got it on special. And this green screen isn't crazy expensive. It's not cheap. It's not something you buy for $10. It's probably around about $60, $70. I think I bought it off Amazon for. But what's really nice about it is it fits on your chair. So what I can do here is I can hook it on the chair. Oops, let me move my microphone a little bit out the way. Hook this on the chair, as so. It's nice and stretchy, right? And then just make sure that's all attached. And so what that's going to do is create for me essentially a green screen effect, which I can actually use to make things sort of superimposed in there. So we've got that set up from a physical point of view, right? That's basically the hardware you need to be able to start this effect. But what I want to do now is actually show you how I use the software to really make that work. Okay, so now what we really need is essentially the software, which is going to help us create the background and the actual effect. So what you want to do is go into your browser, use your favorite search engine. So I use Bing. So we want OBS project, hit enter, and here it is here, Open Broadcaster Software /OBS. So it's obsproject.com. Click on that, and we get to OBS Studio. So all we want to do now is click for Windows. You can see it's for Windows, for Mac, for Linux. We want Windows, and we're downloading. And again, one of the other benefits is we have really pretty fast connections here in Singapore, which is great. And we should be ready to go. Yep, it's downloaded. And so let's do the install process. Okay, so now we're going to do the install. So here's my OBS Studio. Double click. We'll say yes. And welcome to OBS Studio. It's fairly straightforward, nothing complicated. We hit next. Next again. Install. And everything should install fairly quickly here. We're almost there. And like I said, it's not really terribly much in terms of learning how to plug different things in and different aspects, but once it's done, we're ready to go. So I can click finish, and that will launch OBS Studio. Now, once you start up OBS for the first time, it's going to ask you to run this auto configuration wizard. Now, what it actually gives you the options of doing is optimizing for streaming, and recording is secondary, so it'll tune some things specifically for streaming, right? So the auto configuration wizard will determine the best settings based on your computer specs and internet speed. So do I want to do streaming? Do I want to do recording? I actually use OBS all the time for recording videos, so I can actually use those scenes. Or do I just want to use it for a virtual camera? So what I do is I use it for recording, but I still use it for a virtual camera as well. So we hit next. It'll go through and say, what is the base canvas? So again, all of these different things I just leave as they are. Hit next. What's the actual encoders and all those different things you're going to use? Again, these are what they've actually identified on your PC. So don't stress anything about it. Just hit apply settings. And with that, we're ready to start designing our very first scene. Okay, now we're actually here in OBS. I want to take you through some of the aspects, and this is where we're going to do the design work for our scene. Couple of things to sort of notice down the bottom. It's fairly busy. There is the scene section, and so think about scene as a PowerPoint slide, right? So you'll have multiple scenes for each scene you want to create, same way as you have multiple slides in a PowerPoint deck. You have sources, which are the inputs to create your scene. So it could be images, audio, video. I'll show you that in a sec. We have an audio mixer as well, and this actually helps when you have multiple audio sources. And then there's scene transitions. This one you don't need to worry too much about. And then on the right, there is the different options. So start streaming, start recording, start virtual camera, studio mode, settings, and exit. So streaming helps to configure and run the software to stream to a service like, say, Twitch, for example, or Facebook Live or something like that. Start recording is used for when you want to actually record a video that you want to use somewhere, right? So for playback later. Start virtual camera is the one you use to be able to create a virtual camera image, which can be used in your application, so Teams or Zoom or things like that. So what we want to do here is actually start by creating a scene, and we all talk about the bookshelf, so let's start with a bookshelf. Now, I downloaded earlier a nice image that somebody took on Pexels of a bookshelf. So let's go ahead and actually add a bookshelf here. So you can see I'm adding that. The image file I want is to go and browse, and here's that file, right? Nice sort of picture. And one of the things you'll notice, the download of this image I did is way, way, way too big for the scene, right? So when I hit OK, what's happening is it's totally out of size. So you can, just like in PowerPoint, reshape the actual sizes of these pictures. So I have to do a little bit of resizing here. There we go. And we'll just Make sure this is as wide as the scene. Okay, so that looks pretty good. In fact, what we could do as well, if we really wanted to be particular, I can actually do something in terms of cropping the image, and I'll show you that in a sec with my camera. But this looks pretty good. So I've got a nice scene here for the bookshelf, which will be in my background. Now what I want to do now is add my camera to it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit add again. I'm going to go to video capture device, and as I said, I'm using my action cam. Hit OK, and I'm going to select that from CamLink. Right, so now you can actually see me here in the app, but obviously I don't want this. I kind of just want me in there. So I'm going to hit OK, and what I'm going to do here is crop this image, right? So I hold down the Alt key and resize, and so what you can see is I'm cropping my image to really what I want. Okay, so there's my image there, and I want to make this a little bigger, and let's put it on the middle. Okay, so now I'm here in the bookshelf, but of course it doesn't look as nice as what you sort of see. You want that green to go, and that's why we have the green screen, because what we want to do is tell the software that this green is invisible. Okay, now I'm hoping this doesn't go kind of whack because I'm also wearing a green t-shirt. So we're going to click on this and go to transform again. I think it is. No, not transform. Filters. Okay, so filters. We're going to add a chroma key, and we'll call this green screen filter. Whoops, really can't spell. And that looks okay. Actually, the t-shirt's not picked up, so I'm going to hit that's okay. We can see different types of green screen. So green screen, blue screen, magenta. We got green. I'm going to hit close, and now you can actually see I'm in front of the nice bookshelf, and I'm actually got the green screen here. Now, of course, if my hands go outside, because where I've cropped it, you know, it goes like that. But realistically, you're not necessarily making crazy arm movements during a video call. But very quickly now I have a fairly reasonably nice background and a webcam. And so if I go to start virtual camera now, that is actually going to be projected through different software, right? So when I go to Teams or to Zoom, when I choose a webcam, it wouldn't say the webcam. I can look for OBS virtual camera, right? So we'll show that one in a sec. But the other thing I want to do as well is show you that concept of layering, right? How you can actually layer things on top. So right now my video image is layered on top of that background, and you can actually see here in sources that shows you the order, right? At the very, very front is the action cam, at the back is the bookshelf. Now if I move the action cam behind the bookshelf, you can't see me, right? Because I'm behind that image. Same sort of thing in PowerPoint. I put a shape on top of a shape. I can't see what's behind the shape. So I need to make sure I order it in the right sort of way. But what's really nice is now I can actually do things as well, such as create images in front that might have my name or might actually help to show someone what I do. So let me show you how that actually works as well. Okay, so let's create a name tag that we can put in front of us. So I'm going to go to a shape, and you could choose any shape here, but let's just go take a nice shape like this. Let's make it black, and we don't want a shape outline. I want some text to put my name. So let's go insert, and we'll say Matthew Hardman, and let's talk about it, or IT. Clever play there. So we're going to take this one and we're going to make it Arial Nova, and this one will make Arial Nova Light, and let's just make this pop a little bit more, and we'll make this whole thing white and put it here. And so once I've done that, I'm going to select both those things. I mean, I could go ahead and actually just select the whole thing, right click, save as a picture, and we'll call it name tag .ping and hit save. And that should be it. We can use that in our file. Okay, so now we've actually got and created our name tag. We want to put it into OBS. So I'm going to click the plus and choose an image again, and we'll say name tag, hit OK, and it's asked me to browse to where that name tag actually is. So I'm going to hit browse, and this is probably coming a little bit off screen. We'll try and make it fit in here. So in pictures, here's my name tag, hit open. That's the name tag there, and what I'm going to do is just put this here, and we'll fit it in. We'll shape it a little bit. That'll do. And now I've got my name tag. So you can see the name tag is at the front, I'm next, and then the image is actually behind me. And once that's done, I just need to click Start Virtual Camera, and this will then start being the camera which Teams or Zoom will actually see, and will give me this nice image. Okay, so now I've got Teams open and I'm in the settings section. I go down to devices and I'm going to go to the camera and I'm choosing OBS Virtual Camera. Okay, so I click OBS Virtual Camera and you can see there's my camera playing there. So now anytime I have a call and I'm using my camera, it's not just showing the default camera, it's actually playing what is from OBS. So it sees the scene that I've set up, which is obviously going to be a much nicer way to actually present myself in these meetings. So it's a very, very cool feature. Okay, so there you have it. Very simple way to set this up. I'm now actually recording from OBS to show you the output. But OBS is really great. You can use it for streaming, use it for recording videos, but most important of all, use it as a virtual webcam for all of your meetings, be them inside Teams or Zoom. It just shows up like a normal webcam in your operating system. And it's great. You can do some very, very clever things. I've touched on the basics here with a name tag, a background, and my video. But you can do some very, very clever things. You can put additional videos or images in the background. You can really customize things to the way that you want to be represented. So I hope you found this video useful, enjoyable, and I really look forward to seeing you on the next video call and seeing how you represent yourself. So thanks so much for joining us, and good luck.